Today we're talking about something that every veterinary practice depends on, but very few feel confident about, and that's bookkeeping. If your numbers are off, delayed, or constantly confusing, it doesn't just affect your financials, it affects your staffing, your decisions, your inventory, your strategy, your pricing, whether you can afford equipment, and even your own paycheck. Accurate bookkeeping is the backbone of every financially healthy veterinary practice. And when it's done right, it gives you clarity, control, and the confidence to lead your clinic like a true CEO instead of constantly reacting to chaos. So, in today's live, I'm going to walk you through 5 practical, real world bookkeeping tips specifically for veterinary practices using QuickBooks Online. So you can simplify your processes, clean up your reoccurring problems, and get more useful, accurate numbers out of QBO each month. Give me just 1 second. Let me make sure this thing is working right because Facebook loves to mess with me. There we go. We're good. Okay. So before we dive in, join me live today and ask questions as we go. If you're not joining live, you're watching the replay, feel free to send questions over via email or whichever is best for you. This is your chance to get clarity on something that's probably been on your mind for a while. Don't miss out on this one because these are the exact steps I fix inside clinics every single week when I'm reviewing books, running analysis, or analyses or preparing for a profit and cash flow session. Um, if you're new here, I'm Cassie Sykes, and I live out here in East Texas. I've spent years working with veterinary clinics across the country, helping owners understand their numbers, clean up messy books, and actually use the financials to run their practices with less stress. I'm a mom, I'm married, and when I'm not working with vet owners, I'm either at roller derby practice or trying to keep up with my kids' schedules. Every week I go live to give you real world strategies that help you build a stronger, more profitable veterinary practice. So let's jump into today's topic. Again, what's a Facebook? Okay. So one of the biggest issues I see in almost every clinic that comes to me is that their chart of accounts is an absolute mess. QBO comes with default categories, but those are generic and absolutely not built for veterinary practices. If your chart of accounts isn't structured around how a clinic actually spends money, drugs, supplies, lab feeds, outside services, pharmacy, cremation, radiology, anesthesia, merchant fees, and so on, your financials will never tell you the real story. This is the foundation of accurate COGS, inventory tracking, and profitability. Your chart of accounts should separate medical COGS, cost of goods, from non medical expenses. Clearly identify client facing revenue streams and make it easy to read your profit and loss at a glance without guessing where something landed. A clean chart of accounts gives you clarity, and clarity gives you control. The second tip is to reconcile every single month, no skipping. A lot of clinics rely on the bank feeds or logging into your bank to see your account balance, and they think that that's good enough. But the bank feed is not reconciliation. You can have duplicates, missing transactions, or wrong vendor assignments and not even realize it. Reconciliation is what confirms your books actually match your real bank numbers, bank accounts, credit cards, and merchant deposits. And even if you're not reconciling, your numbers cannot be trusted. For veterinary clinics, this matters even more because of lab charges, inventory purchases, and vendor credits that can get messy fast. Reconciling every single month keeps your books accurate, gives you real data to work with, and prevents those year-end panic situations where you're trying to clean up 9 months of chaos. If you only do one thing consistently in QBO, let it be your reconciliations. The third tip is to track your inventory purchases correctly. Inventory is one of the biggest pain points in a lot of veterinary practices, and the way it's booked in QBO or your practice management software directly impacts your margins. Most clinics treat inventory as a regular expense, but that doesn't give you the visibility you need into your true cost of goods. The right way to handle it is to record purchases in the appropriate cost of goods categories every month and then adjust for physical inventory counts quarterly or at least every 6 months. And this gives you an accurate margin, helps you identify shrink or waste, and make sure that your pricing aligns with your true cost. When inventory is messy, pricing gets messy and profitability suffers. Clean inventory accounting is one of the fastest ways to see immediate improvement in your numbers. The fourth tip is your bank rules. One of the biggest wins inside QuickBooks Online is the ability to automate repetitive transactions using your bank rules. A lot of clinics spend so much time manually categorizing the same charges over and over. Weave, MWI, Zoetis, IDEX, your online pharmacy fees, payroll withdrawals, software subscriptions, and most of these can be safely automated. And yes, QBO has been pushing more AI-driven suggestions lately, but those suggestions are not perfect. They're helpful in some cases, and they absolutely can speed things up, but they still need a human eye on them because the AI doesn't always understand the nuance of a veterinary practice or the way your vendors hit your accounts. That's why intentionally created bank rules are still the most reliable way to keep your books clean. When your rules are accurate, consistent, and tied to the correct vendor and category, you save time, reduce human error, and free yourself up to actually review your numbers instead of spending your afternoons clicking through line items one by one. This is where clinics see the biggest month-over-month improvement. The more intentional your rules are, the cleaner and more predictable your books become. The fifth is your vendor reports. A lot of vet clinics often don't realize how much they're spending with specific vendors until the end of the year. QuickBooks Online expenses by vendor or vendor detail reports can give you a pretty clear picture of who you're spending the most with, how that spending changes over time, and where you might have inefficiencies. This is huge for pharmacy, lab fees, inventory suppliers, cremation services, and merchant processors. Reviewing these reports monthly can help you identify overordering, unused subscriptions, missing credits, or unexpected increases in vendor pricing. If you want your margins to improve, you need to know exactly where your money is going. This report gives you that insight instantly. Give me a sec. Another bonus tip is to stop using the AMA or Ask My Accountant category. I know it's tempting. You're moving fast, you're busy, and QuickBooks gives you this little bucket to drop confusing transactions into. But the Ask My Accountant expense category is where clarity goes to die. If you're regularly putting things there, it's a red flag that your chart of accounts isn't clear, your rules aren't consistent, or you're unsure of your financial process. And if you are using this bucket, make sure you actually have an accountant to ask. Don't procrastinate. Put it there and ask your accountant right away. And get it answered while the transaction is still fresh, and get it categorized correctly while it's still fresh. Don't wait until year end when everything is months old and 10 times harder to untangle. The longer that bucket sits full, the more confusing your books become. And when you're unsure, pause and handle it correctly the first time, or get help immediately so it doesn't snowball into a bigger cleanup project later. The longer it sits and the bigger the project is, the more likely it is to get misclassified or done wrong or become a red flag or just be more expensive to clean up. So before we wrap up, I want to do a quick self-check. Think about your clinic's bookkeeping right now. Are you operating reactively, fixing things only when they break, or do you have a monthly rhythm that actually supports your financial goals? If any of today's tips hit a nerve, a messy chart of accounts, unreconciled accounts, inventory that never ties out, that's not a sign something is wrong with you. It's simply a sign that systems need to be stronger. These issues are extremely common in veterinary practices, and they're completely fixable once you have the right structure and consistency in place. If you want your bookkeeping to feel easier, you need to build a weekly rhythm around it. Set one repeating block each week to review your bank feeds, approve your bank rules, scan vendor charges, and check for obvious errors. When you look at your numbers every single week, even for a few minutes, you'll catch mistakes faster, stay organized, and move into each month with so much more confidence. You're also going to save a lot of money. Your financials are going to stop feeling overwhelming when they become part of your routine instead of something you avoid for 6 weeks at a time or 6 months at a time. As we wrap up, think about what we covered today and how it applies to your clinic. If you realized you need clearer systems, better structure, or real visibility into your numbers, that's exactly what I can help with. Each week, these lives are designed to give you real-time strategies you can use immediately inside your veterinary practice. So join me again next week for more exclusive tips and step-by-step guidance tailored specifically for veterinarians. If you want help getting this set up correctly for your practice, or you want someone to walk you through your actual numbers and pinpoint where the cash is leaking, you can book a free profit and cash flow analysis. During that call, we'll review your financials line by line, identify the gaps, and show you exactly what's driving the issues inside your practice. You can grab a time at the link on the screen, and I'll also drop it in the comments. Before you go, I want to share an incredible resource designed to elevate your veterinary practice's financial success. I've put together a free ebook just for you. It's called 7 Financial Strategies. Inside it, you'll discover practical steps to increase your profitability, improve your cash flow, and make smarter financial decisions for your practice. You can also grab your free copy in the comments. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. If this helped, please pass it along to another vet owner you feel could use a clearer picture of their numbers, or just another friend. And if you're ready to get your numbers dialed in, please go ahead and book that free profit and cash flow analysis. I will see you next week. Thank you so much.